Hello and welcome to the Saturday News. My name is Phil Chambers and I am here as ever with Gareth Morgan on this fine day. But let's get right into it. Before we get started, links to the stories today are all in the description below. So go click on the little timestamp things and it'll take you right there. And remember to subscribe. But first up, we have news on another release that happened back when the whole global situation, mass firings happened in April. There was one that got a little bit missed for some reason. Rachel Ellering was released then. You may know her as Rachel Evers in NXT. She's obviously the daughter of Paul Ellering as well. She was out on injury. She was rehabbing her knee after reconstructive knee surgery. She tore her ACL back in July last year. She's worked the two Mae Young Classics, but never really got a huge amount on NXT. But apparently, she was released in this whole thing in April, but there's a little bit of oddness surrounding this release because apparently she had arguments and discussions, let's say, with WWE officials with concerns about their medical practices, medical procedures, and just their medical team in general. And this was a couple of months before she got released. Now, these were apparently not received very well in WWE, as you would imagine. And according to the Wrestling Observer, she was given two options, both of which had her getting released. She obviously chose one of those options, no word on what exactly those two options were. But yeah, that's it. Rachel Ellering has been released from the company, another one to add to the list from last April.
It's a bit curious that, isn't it? Because if they're saying she had two options, it sounds like she probably had an option where it was you're going to get paid and then released later on, like you can fulfill the rest of your contract then get released, or you can get released now and be gone. It doesn't sound like you've got much of an option there. You're getting released either way. You're on your way out.
I'm wondering whether one of the options was go quite quietly, or you just get fired and get to talk about everything that you've said. So maybe
kicking and screaming.
A bit of a non-disclosure or something involved in it. We don't know exactly what her concerns with the medical team were. Other than that she was obviously out and rehabbing her injury. So, yeah, a little bit of strangeness surrounding it. She has since been on Twitter, though. She put a tweet just saying, "We know who we are, who we'll always be, and we have a choice. We can hide in the shadows or stand in the light." And then she's made like a little video clip that's kind of first half, like she Googles the name Rachel Evers, and it's set to the great... to Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, the great speech for humanity from that, and then it kind of cuts halfway through and she deletes the Rachel Evers name, types in Rachel Ellering, and then it's like Rachel Ellering, don't call it a comeback. So it looks like she is out and ready to take on the independent scene. But yeah, just a little bit of mystery surrounding that release.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that one unfolds, really, because it's always interesting just seeing all these behind-the-scenes stories about how the medical team approach certain injuries and certain talents that aren't necessarily top-tier talents. And yeah, hopefully we can find out more going forward. But we have found out another piece of information, another tidbit, surrounding an angle that happened on Raw. You've probably seen by now, Rey Mysterio got his head crammed into some steel steps, and it was pretty brutal, and blood spurting out and everything. It was that's what I want from my Raw. And he apparently, so a lot of people were wondering why this happened, why he got battered in the way that he did. Rey Mysterio has reportedly not signed a new WWE contract. So don't jump to conclusions straight away, because apparently he is set probably to stay in the company. That's what Dave Meltzer said on Twitter. He said he's, quote, isn't going anywhere for the time being. But that's not set in stone. So he's not actually inked a new deal yet. So anything could happen. He could potentially have his head turned and go to AEW or something else like that. Obviously, there's been no real hint of that happening yet. But it has been noted that one of the key factors really around this right now about Rey making his next decision, what he's going to do next, is his son. Because obviously he wants his son to have this career in wrestling, and if ever you're going to get a really good spot to showcase yourself, WWE is the place to be, and he doesn't really want to burn that bridge so his son can't get into the company and do everything else. So that's obviously in the back of his mind. But in terms of the actual story itself, the actual angle, it was set up very similarly to what we saw with Matt Hardy. So obviously you had that last man standing battle with Randy Orton that was about to happen, didn't happen. It was all very much up in the air. One week we thought he was gone, next week he was there. And it's one of those open-ended stories that they've just put in place. So if Ray does decide to stay, he can stay and battle Seth Rollins for a little bit. But if he doesn't, then he's been beaten up and he's on the shelf like indefinitely. So it seems to be a little tactic they're putting in place now, like their new tactic. If they got somebody coming to the end of their contracts, they dangle this little bit of bait, saying, "Oh, you can have this nice storyline that we're setting up here for you, but if you don't, then you're gone. Like we can recover quite easily." So yeah, it's quite interesting story beat and why it's happened, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a bad way to go, really, in WWE's eyes. They've got it's the best of both worlds. They've got an easy way to write him off TV or an easy way to write him back into stories, depending on what happens. But, I mean, it's interesting with Ray because he's always been one to sort of come and go as he pleases, almost. He's always been welcomed back to WWE with open arms when he's come back, and he's always done really well on the independents or wherever it is that he goes when he leaves WWE. So it's entirely up to Ray at this point. I know this work rate, like he's 40 odd, like he's getting on a bit, but he's also still bloody amazing.
Yeah, like ridiculous. Like he should not be this good. It's just insane to see what he, because like even in that match on Raw, you were watching him just thinking this guy cannot be in his 40s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's mad. But met Ray quite a few times through like filming interviews and doing WCPW as well. Genuinely lovely guy. But like all of the times that we've like interviewed him, he's always spoken about his son and how that's like his next big thing. Like he's really proud of him stepping into the ring and he wants to sort of train him well and train him right. So maybe if WWE end up giving him a bit of a performance center contract, that might be a little carrot to make him stick around for that, because he definitely he really like is proud of his son and really wants him to succeed. So I could see that being a nice little sweetener for Ray to stick around in WWE for a bit longer.
Definitely.
Speaking of people sticking around in WWE for a bit longer, what a segue. Turns out The Undertaker last year, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, signed a 15-year deal with the company.
Just a little bit longer, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit longer. So that's going to take him through to 2034.
Wow.
Which just seems mental. And if he does the entire length of that, he will have had a 44-year tenure with the company. Obviously, that's probably not going to be wrestling for that entire time. There's no word on how long he's going to be wrestling for again, if he will wrestle again. Who knows? Obviously, with this is going to cover like the Undertaker documentary thing that they've been putting out and things like that. And I mean, who do you want on your books more than like the Undertaker with that sort of wealth of knowledge? The sort of everyone respects him in the back. Like just send him to the performance center once a month to train people. Like just having a guy like that around to be able to use his knowledge and help the next generation as you go along, it just can't be a bad thing. And you've got forever legend pop up of that like dong hitting and the lights going down and the massive pop in the crowd. It's going to be like that pretty much forever, even if he never wrestles again. So
I mean,
you've got 15 years of The Undertaker left.
Weirdly, you've like inspired two things in my mind there. Like, partly I didn't realize I wanted this, but now I do. I want that gong to happen and then him just to pop up in a guest commentary role. Just like sat there in a chair like, hello, welcome back, it is The Undertaker. But equally, like, I do, because you just mentioned the documentary and everything like that, I watched that first episode. And it's one of those things where, obviously, we think of The Undertaker and we think of him as this mystical figure and this locker room leader, everything else, general, really. And it was so interesting watching that documentary and seeing him in that zone, in that situation where he was being the actual leader and being this voice. But for whatever reason in my mind, I always used to think he was this person, this figure who just stood there and ordered people around and just like instilled fear in people, and that's how he got the respect. But he wasn't. He just seemed so open, just a regular dude, just really nice dude, really interested in everyone else. And it was just, I can see why they'd want him around for another 15 years, because he's not just a presence in terms of wrestling, in terms of a figure that inspires people to work better. He just seems like a really good voice to have backstage and in the locker room, everywhere else. And you never know, he might jump down the producing route at some point. He might just forever be an on-screen character, but be a manager and things like that. It just, imagine The Undertaker as a manager for like the next demonic mythical figure or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd just be, he can do whatever he wants.
Just slowly evolving into Paul Bearer.
Oh my goodness, that'd just be incredible. Yeah, just like, trying to think for Aleister Black just walks around with his coffin. There you go.
But yeah, like you say, we've seen like the veil of the Undertaker slowly sort of start to drop over the last couple of years. Like obviously, like throughout his entire career, the only thing we've ever seen of the man like Mark Calloway is, I guess, Biker Taker.
Yeah.
And even that was still like ramped up. But then like with the Stone Cold podcast and then this documentary and things, they're starting to just lift that veil of the Undertaker and like show the actual man behind the figure, I guess.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what else they do with him going forwards.
And speaking of the show that The Undertaker used to be on and used to do loads of stuff on, great segue. SmackDown happened last night. And it was an alright show, because obviously we had the first couple of matches in the IC title tournament that's been put in place now, because Sami Zayn's had his belt stripped away from him because he wanted to stay at home with his family, but we won't go into that because we already have quite a lot. But yeah, we had that go down, and Daniel Bryan and Elias went into the semi-finals. Elias beat King Corbin, and Daniel Bryan beat his training partner Drew Gulak in what was one of my favourite TV matches of the year, because I just thought it was brilliant. It was just reversal central. It was incredible. And we had Dana Brooke beat Naomi. Yeah, seems like she's getting a bit of a push now, weirdly.
I mean, she's rich now after she got that briefcase on last Sunday.
That's it. I want to see Dana Brooke versus Bayley now. It's the natural order of things. It's got to happen next. Speaking of those, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair had a bit of a conversation. Yeah, they had a bit of a showdown in the ring. Charlotte Flair was stirring the pot between Bayley and Sasha, and now there's a match been announced for next week. Champion versus champion. NXT champion Charlotte Flair taking on SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. That was because of the open brand invitation that Charlotte was allowed on SmackDown, because that's a thing. That's a thing now. It's the wild card rule, but it's just been given a new name. It's great. Yeah. Then we also had the hacker did another video, another thing. He was just like, it was weird. It was quite generic at the start, but then he flicked this switch, and then literally it seemed like every single member of the SmackDown roster just appeared behind him on all these different screens. So that was quite, oh wow. It just seemed like he'd gone from being quite specific, attacking certain people, just suddenly going, I can get everyone. So that was quite, I don't know, I think it worked quite well. And then at the end we had the main event, because obviously Otis was on Miz TV at the start of the show, and that set up a tag team match, but Otis had to find a partner, because we had another one of those things where it was like, oh, who's the mystery partner, who's it going to be? And it was Braun Strowman. Well, hey, go figure. They beat Miz and Morrison, and Otis teased a cash in. He did the first little teaseroo. It was weird, because he teased it when Mandy Rose was coming to the ring. And then when Braun turned around, he was like, hey, buddy, just doing a bit of a joke, yeah. And it was like, I didn't know how to feel about it. Because it was Otis, he kind of got away with it. You were like, oh, what do you like, you big lovable dude? But it still felt a bit weird. And then that set up, it was mentioned that there's going to be an Otis, Mandy Rose taking on Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler match. That's going to be next week. And we're also going to get another set of matches for the opening round of the IC tournament title thing. It's going to be AJ Styles taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ Styles is on Raw, but this is just WWE, so deal with it. And Jeff Hardy will be taking on Sheamus. So that blow-off match is going to happen next week. Great. It's just madness. Yeah, a lot of stuff set up, and a lot of stuff to dissect really from SmackDown. It's quite a show. Yeah,
totally. I mean, the Otis cash-in thing, it's just weird having Otis have the Money in the Bank, isn't it? Like, it does. I just hope they don't ruin it or him in this process. I really kind of want Otis as Universal Champion. Something in me. Just give him every single belt that exists and have them all around his massive waist, and I would be perfectly happy with wrestling.
It was weird, because it was the first time we saw him in the proximity of the title. You know what I mean? Like, it was the first time you could place it, because you were like, oh, that was just... Because they look... Braun Strowman was just a big hulked-up version of Otis anyway, let's be honest. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, he just starts going to the... He already goes to the gym, but you know what I mean? If he just... Maybe he has less of the turkey, he's going to look like Braun Strowman. Like, it was just like... Yeah.
You could get these hams instead of get these hands.
Exactly. Oh, done. Just get it done. Or just throw them into a tag team together, and you can have Brotis, you can have Omen... Like, you know what I mean? Just have them together. They look like a pretty
right team.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple of other things to get through real quick. AEW apparently are actually making a profit during this. A nice little tidbit of good news to come out of all of this. Obviously, the limited taping schedule that they've been having recently and not having to buy as many flights and things like that, and then like online merch sales on top of that, has meant that AEW have managed to keep making a profit. Not a massive profit, but a profit nonetheless throughout this whole global situation era, despite paying staff, talent and their production crew the exact same that they would if they were doing the weekly shows. So that's just a nice little bit of good news coming out of AEW. And talking about AEW, they have announced Kip Sabian for the Casino Ladder match, which means that match is going to be Kip Sabian, Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky and 3 others still to be announced. And the rest of the Double or Nothing card is shaping up to be Cody versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship, Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW Championship, Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida in a no DQ, no countout match for the Women's Championship, the madness that is going to be the Elite versus the Inner Circle in the Stadium Stampede match, Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander, MJF versus Jungle Boy, and Private Party versus Best Friends on the pre-show to determine the number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. Shaping up to be a hell of a show.
Yeah, this is what I love about AEW. They like announce a pay-per-views on the horizon, and then it just seems to snowball ever so slightly. So they go, oh yeah, we're just going to throw that match in. You go, oh, it's a pretty good match actually. And then next week they'll announce like another 2 matches. You go, yeah, they're actually pretty good. And then like 3 weeks later, you look at the card and go, what? Like, just look at the talent on that card and the matches that, like, so many of those matches just feel fresh. Just like, I've never seen them before and I just can't wait. Like, I'm just excitement. Just give me it. Give me all the Double or Nothing. I need it right now. And so the next little bit we're going to jump into is obviously right now just the current situation. Obviously AEW are back in Florida filming most of their shows, and WWE have been in the Performance Center. But speaking of that Performance Center, WWE haven't actually been able to use the training facilities within the Performance Center because of the guidelines that the state has right now. But the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, announced at a press conference this morning that gyms in the Sunshine State will be allowed to reopen from Monday. So that means obviously social distancing guidelines are going to be in place and everything else. But that could mean that the Performance Center gym could open up. And it was an odd one because the reopening of gyms in Florida, it did actually fall outside of phase 1 because they had a phase 1 reopening plans, everything else. And it just didn't mean that could happen at that time. But now they've gone into what's called full phase 1. So it's like a little addition. And that does involve, it allows restaurants and retail spaces to open up at 50% capacity. And I'm assuming that gyms now fall into that as well. And I'm not too sure if it's going to be 50% capacity or anything else. But yeah, it's just a sign that obviously things are getting back, hopefully, to a position where more people are going to be allowed into spaces. It may eventually lead to fans maybe even being allowed back into perhaps the Performance Center or where AEW are filming as well. So it's a positive sign. Hopefully WWE don't just jump the gun though and just throw everyone back into the Performance Center and just get everyone trained again, because that would be completely contradictory and not helpful at all. But yeah. So. Yeah.
That's the thing with all of these, like waiting for when the arenas can get fans back in and like anything like this, waiting for it to open up. You've just got the feeling that WWE are going to jump on it the moment that the government says it's okay. And judging by the other things we're seeing coming out of Florida recently, they're probably going to be doing it before it's probably okay. Yeah. Let's face it. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't cause any bigger issues. But yeah, and also, where are they going to put everyone? They've got the SmackDown, Raw, and NXT set that's taking up the main room. I guess they've got the gyms and things, but
just behind that curtain, literally everyone's going to just be like behind that side little curtain where Edge and Randy Orton went through in WrestleMania. Yeah. That's it. Everyone's just going to be there, that little area. So.
Last thing from me,
yep.
Quick little thing about Rusev. He's obviously started becoming a Twitch guy. He's a Twitch partner now, and he's streaming. But someone asked him on Twitter, will Lana appear there anytime? He just quite simply replied to them saying, ask Vince. So it seems like Rusev needs WWE's permission to allow his wife to be on a Twitch stream with him.
Well, it's the likeness thing, isn't it? That's what's frustrating. I'm not sure when he was having his head shaved the other day, something I have a lot of experience in now. I'm not sure if Lana was the person doing it, and like camera-wise, they couldn't. I don't know if I just stopped watching the video before she was shown, but he just seemed like he was strategically trying to not get her in on the shot or anything else, and it's so odd. Wrestling's really weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, we get it. Like, outside of the WWE bubble, they're married. We know. Like, okay, it's storyline. She's married to Bobby and everything else, but what's the worst? Is Rusev going to be sued for showing his wife on camera?
Yeah,
like. I don't know where the grounds are for that personally, but that's just odd. But speaking of people who have left WWE recently, in that big sacking, that culling that happened mid-April, we've got obviously Erick Rowan, who was booted out at that point. He has now changed his name. He's changed his name to Erick Redbeard.
Imaginative.
Do you know what I mean? It does what it says on the tin. But he's changed himself up, and he's actually released a few T-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees. They're quite good. There's a carved skull one, which looks like a really heavy metal sort of T-shirt, and it shows him as Redbeard with Erick carved into his forehead. Like,
obviously
says what he is. There's also the recycled T-shirt, which says recycled across the top. And it has a sheep motif in the middle, and then the words Spider, Brother, Firefly, and Genius. Obviously, a nod to all of his personas and characters that he's had in WWE, or just spins on the Erick Rowan character. And
I forgot when he was a genius for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, Danny Brown was like, "Oh, this dude's not my sidekick. He's smarter than me." And we were like, "Oh, really? Show us." And then he just didn't. No,
they gave up on that one pretty quick, didn't they?
Yeah, but he hasn't. He's putting out a T-shirt, so it's fine. And then the last one is a shirt that says Alive, or that's what it's called. It's called Alive. And it has a graveyard scene, so yeah, flipping that on its head. And there's gravestones for Redbeard, and it's got the date of his release of that mass exodus that happened on April 15th. And it's also got a little gravestone next to it with March 9th, 2020, which if you know your history, that is the day that the Spider was squashed by current WWE champion Drew McIntyre. So, yeah, he's a...
Poor Spider. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Spidey. Exactly. A few Spider...
F in the comments for respect for the Spider.
Yeah. So, too right. But yeah, that's, again, it's another former WWE star now trying to make the best that they can in this situation after being released from the company. We've obviously had the... what do we have? We have the No Way Jose T-shirt. You've got... Heath Slater's, that was it. I got fired. That one was quite good. So it's just people trying to make what they can in the situation. I quite like it. Hopefully, he's a person who very similar to Brody Lee. Obviously, they were paired for so long; they're always going to be connected in some way. He's just a brilliant character, personality that was just burdened in WWE by the fact that he looked the way he was. Like, the company just didn't appreciate him, just didn't understand that somebody could look like that and still be an intelligent character, an articulate character. And it was just, hopefully he can spread his wings and let his red beard fly. That sounded better in my head. That's yeah.
Yeah, totally. Is an odd one, Erick Rowan, because Erick Redbeard, I should say now. Because it's like Brody Lee already had the indie connection beforehand WWE, but he's not really got the same thing. So I think everyone's, I don't know. I'm interested to see what he does outside of WWE anyway. Should be good fun.
Yeah.
But that's it. That was the news for today. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment down below what you think of all of today's stories, including Erick Redbeard and all the others. And if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at FillMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
at GMorgan04.
And you can follow everyone at WhatCulture at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you go over to Kayfabe News as well. There's a giant scoop about who the real father is of Becky Lynch's child.
Very worried. I will be checking that out.
And go subscribe to WhatCulture Combat as well. Why not?
Why not? Have a go. There's a lot of UFC going down over the last week or so there's plenty to get stuck into.
Lovely. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay at home, and have yourselves a bloody good day.